So we recently helped an established software company double the number of qualified demo requests coming in from SEO in 12 months. Not double the traffic, not double the rankings, but double the actual requests going into their CRM. And most SEOs will show you traffic graphs, ranking reports, while your sales team is complaining about lead quality. And we optimize for a completely different metric, which is revenue. Today, I'm showing you the exact 6-step system that we use to drive revenue through SEO for B2B software companies, but the same principles apply no matter what industry you're in. And it all starts with breaking one rule that 99% of teams follow. But before we get into the how, we need to establish the why. And most SEO programs fail because they focus on the completely wrong metrics. So for the longest time, SEO was viewed as a marketing channel, which only job is to drive as much traffic as possible. So you don't necessarily focus on which type of searches or what type of traffic you're driving, as long as you're driving traffic. And this led to marketing teams celebrating traffic spikes, while the sales team were complaining about either no leads coming in or very low quality leads coming in. And the antidote to this is revenue first SEO. And that means that every single SEO action that you do on your website should have a direct connection to pipeline and revenue. So you don't want to show up for every single keyword within your market, but you want to show up for the keywords that signal a strong buying intent, meaning that the people that are closest to making a buying decision, those are the people that you naturally should show up for and drive to your website. And without this mindset, all of the steps that I'll go through in this video will just be disconnected tactics. So this is the foundational mindset that you need to adopt in order to be successful with SEO. So before we jump into the 6 steps, I want to emphasize a very important aspect, which is that all of the steps I'll go through, especially the execution part, should not be run as a sequence. It should be run parallel with each other. Each action is reinforcing the other, and if you want to drive a successful SEO strategy, you need to run these things in parallel and together with each other. So how do we build this SEO revenue engine? Well, it all starts with research, but not the kind of research that you do with a keyword tool. Instead, the first step is to define your ideal client. And I don't mean any vague persona here. I mean the specific customer profile that has the highest lifetime value for your business. So who are they? What's the size of the company? In what industry are they in? What type of role are you typically talking to? And what problems keep them up at night? And once you know this, you know exactly who you're targeting, and then comes the research. The best way to research these people is obviously to talk to the people who in turn talk to customers every single day. So the sales team, the support team, and you want to interview these people, perhaps even listen in on some sales calls, but also digging through support tickets. And you're not going after surface level information here. You want to ask specific questions like, what type of problem did the customer have that made them look for a solution? Which other vendors were they evaluating alongside you? What made them end up buying your solution instead of the competitors? And you might even figure out some objections that came up. Your sales and support team know all of this. I mean, they live it every single day. They know why customers actually buy, and not what they think they search for, but exactly what matters to them as they're closing in on a decision. You also want to map out the buying journey for this specific customer. So what type of information do they need when, for example, they just realize that they have a problem? And what questions come up as they start evaluating specific options? And essentially, what do they need to know before they make that final decision? And this research becomes the foundation for absolutely everything. It tells us exactly which keywords to target, what type of content we should create, and also how to structure it so that it actually converts. And most SEO teams, well, they start with a keyword tool and then just guess. But we start with understanding the best customers, and then we let them tell us exactly what we should do. So once you understand the customer, you can start building an SEO strategy to attract that specific customer. And you want to use the insights you've just gathered to simply understand how your ideal customer is using search to find products like yours. And there's 2 main categories of keywords that you should focus on here. And the first one is quite obvious: keywords that signal someone is actively looking for your solution or your product. So let's say you offer a accounting software. Well, you want to show up for that specific keyword. And if your target customer is law firms, then accounting software for lawyers or law firms is even more relevant. And let's say your biggest competitor is QuickBooks. Well, showing up for better alternative to QuickBooks is also extremely valuable. And all of these are solution specific searches, right? So the person knows exactly what type of product they need, but there's one step before that, which is the second category, the keywords that signal someone has a problem that you help solve. And typically this is the step before someone starts looking for a solution. Well, they have a problem and they want to solve it, but they might not be aware of the solution just yet. So if we use the same accounting software example, this could be keywords like how to reduce day sales outstanding, how to track overdue invoices. So the entire point here is that you need to focus on the keywords where the searcher is actively looking for a solution like yours, or trying to solve a problem that your product address. And that way you'll attract the prospects who are the closest to making a buying decision. All right, so now we've covered the strategic foundation. And if you're starting to see gaps in your own process, well, that's just a good thing. And to help you bridge that gap, I've put together a high-intent keyword research checklist that walks you through the exact process that we use to find keywords that leads to demos and trials and sales. It's completely free. The link is in the description below, and it will help you execute on what we just talked about. So now you've got your list of keywords and the topics that you want to prioritize. So the next step is, of course, to figure out, well, what type of content should I create in order to rank? And the best way to do that is to look at what's already ranking in the top 3 for that specific search. You want to reverse engineer what's already working. So are you seeing a lot of landing pages? Is it a blog post? If it is a blog, what type of format is performing well? Maybe listicles, a comparison guide, a how-to guide. And once you understand the format, you should analyze the competing content to find gaps that you can exploit. And a few simple examples here, maybe the top ranking article is missing recent original data. Maybe it doesn't cover a specific use case that's important to your customer. Maybe it's a surface level article and it doesn't go deep enough on implementation. Well, as you're doing this analysis, just keep this thing in mind. The goal here is to create content that answers what the searcher is looking for better than any of the existing results. And in order to stand out even more, you can include original data points, quotes from subject matter experts, or visually appealing design elements like tables and infographics to make the content easier to skim and consume. So the key is, don't just create content to rank, but analyze what's working, find the gaps, and create something that's genuinely better. So good content will always be the foundation of your SEO, but it's not enough on its own. So you also need to signal authority within your space. And the best way to achieve that is through backlinks. And a backlink is simply when another website links back to your content. And similar to the content, the focus here should always be on quality over quantity. You want to build links from sites that themselves have a very strong SEO profile. So high domain ratings, strong organic traffic, but most importantly, they need to be industry relevant. So you want to look for industry publication, other respected blogs, or perhaps review sites that your target customers consistently read and consume. And the way to get these is through outreach. You want to offer these websites something valuable in exchange for a link back to your content. And this could be that you simply just exchange links between each other, or you could offer to write a guest post around a topic that they haven't covered yet. In a nutshell, do some research, understand how you can add value to this domain, and pitch that value in exchange for a backlink back to your site. And what you're doing here is building credibility signals across the web. So when other authoritative sites link to your content, it tells Google that you're trustworthy and worth ranking. And the exact same signals also matter for AI visibility, which we'll cover in the next step. But to wrap this up, building 5 to 10 high quality backlinks per month from sites that obviously matter in your space will have a huge impact on your overall SEO performance. So now let's talk about AI search tools like ChatGPT, Perplexity, and even Google's AI overviews. So the type of visibility that actually matters in large language models is obviously getting your product recommended when someone is asking a buying question. You don't just want to get mentioned somewhere, but being recommended as the solution within your specific category. And here's something interesting. So the type of content that drives the most number of AI citations is also the same content we've been talking about this whole time. Bottom funnel product comparison articles. And research from RFs analyzed over 26,000 ChatGPT source URLs found that 44% of all AI citations come from recently published product comparisons. So the strategy that we've covered so far, targeting commercial intent keywords with comparison and problem-solving content, will also naturally produce AI visibility without you having to do anything different. Another important piece is also most brand mentions in AI responses don't necessarily come from your own content, but they come from third-party websites that are also being cited. So RFs looked at their own brand mentions and where they're being derived from in AI responses, and third-party sites dominated. Essentially other websites' comparison articles. So that means two things matter for your AI visibility. So first, you want to create content around the specific topics to increase your chances of being cited and also affecting the response, while the second one is third-party validation. So the backlinks that we covered in step 4, but also getting your brand mentioned in other high-quality third-party listicles that AI systems are consistently citing. And getting these brand mentions works the same way as getting the backlinks. You essentially reach out to the sites that publish these comparisons and offer something valuable in return for a mention of your brand. So if you get your software listed and well described in third-party content, while also creating and keeping your own comparison content fresh
fresh and updated. You will naturally start being recommended more by large language models. AI visibility is often described as this completely different strategy, but me who lives and breathes SEO daily know for a fact that's not true. AI visibility is simply a consequence when you execute the fundamentals well.
So now you've got the strategy, the content, the authority, and some valuable insights on AI visibility, and the final step is making all of this compound every single month. And this is of course the iteration and feedback loop. So in the beginning, you want to look at leading indicators like traffic, clicks, impressions, and even average positions. But once you're a couple of months into the strategy, you want to start shifting your focus to the hard KPIs, the ones that actually matter, which is qualified leads and ultimately revenue. And you use that conversion data to refine your SEO and content strategy, double down on what's working, and if certain comparison articles are driving demos, well, create more content around those topics. And if specific problem-solving content is converting, well, expand on that cluster. And keeping your content refreshed is also important. So these high converting pages need to stay fresh to both keep ranking and converting. Update stats, add new examples, and refine the messaging based on everything you're learning in new sales conversations. And keeping track of your website's technical health is something that is ongoing in the background all the time. You keep track of internal linking, the site speed, schema markup, but also looking at indexability and crawlability. Being consistent also results in compounding results. Each piece of content is going to support the next. Authority will build over time, and the traffic will get more and more qualified the more you refine your targeting based on new data. So that's the revenue first SEO framework. 6 steps to turn organic search into a predictable revenue channel. Now, this video gave you the strategic overview, but if you want a step-by-step breakdown of how to execute this next video goes deep on implementation. How to run the research, the exact keywords types to target, how to structure the content, and how to handle the outreach. All the tactical details. The link is right here. I'll see you in the next one.